Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. If you're new to this channel, I primarily cover Paizo tabletop role-playing games like Pathfinder and Starfinder. So, we continue with our exploration of the new book as of the posting of this video, Divine Mysteries. We covered Covenants and Pantheons last time, so today I thought we'd cover some of the class archetypes in the book. As a quick reminder, Paizo provided me with a free digital copy of this book, but they are in no other way reimbursing me for my content. Thank you, Paizo. So, quick review of how class archetypes work. Class archetypes change how a class works at level 1, then at level 2 a character must take the level 2 dedication feat instead of their normal second level class feat. They work like a normal archetype from there on out, where players may choose to trade in further class feats for further archetype feats. Let's start with the much-awaited Battle Harbinger. Battle Harbinger is a cleric-exclusive class archetype and it changes a lot of stuff, so let's talk about it. Firstly, they lose Resolute Faith, that class feature at level 9. That's the thing where they become master in will saves and count successes as critical successes on those will saves. They also lose Miraculous Spell, which is that thing that gives them a rank 10 spell slot. They also trade in their normal Divine Font, that's the free healing or harm spells, for something called a Battle Aura. This lets them prepare 4 free Bless or Bane spells, and that number eventually increases up to 6. Interestingly, I think they get both Bless and Bane. It doesn't matter if their deity is Heal or Harm font, they can choose Bless or Bane as they see fit. Also, the save against the Bane spell is based on their class DC, not their spellcasting DC. This is important because Battle Harbingers eventually get up to legendary proficiency in class DCs. But the big thing about them is that they become bounded casters, like a Magus. In other words, their spell progression looks like this, with them only gaining a few spells and losing earlier ranked spells when they gain higher ranked spell slots. Now, they can get a feat that gives them 2 more earlier ranked spell slots later on, so a total of 6 spells per day. We'll talk more about this at the end of this section with my final thoughts. They also have to take the special Battle Harbinger Doctrine, that's the Cleric subclass, instead of the Cloistered Cleric or War Priest doctrines. It's actually worded a bit differently. It's called a Battle Creed instead of a doctrine, but it's essentially a special doctrine only for them. At level 1, they get proficiency in simple and martial weapons, as well as their deity's favored weapon. They also get training in light and medium armor and the Deadly Simplicity Cleric feat. By the way, the armor scales all the way up to Master Proficiency at level 19. Also, Expert and Fortitude saves. At level 5, they become expert in simple and martial weapons and their deity's favored weapon, and gain critical specialization with their deity's favored weapon. This is 2 levels earlier than War Priests. Also, their class DCs increase to expert. At level 9, they gain Reactive Strike as a free class feature. At level 11, they become expert in spell attack rolls. At level 13, they become master in only their deity's favored weapon. That's 6 levels earlier than War Priests. Also, they become master in fortitude saves and get that thing where a successful fortitude save counts as a critical success. Also, this is when clerics, including Battle Harbingers, get up to expert in their armor and or unarmored defenses. At level 15, their class DC increases to master, and their proficiency rank in will saves finally gets to master, but notably they do not get that thing where a save counts as a critical save for will saves. And finally, at level 19, they get master proficiency in unarmored, light, and medium armor, and their class DC goes up to legendary. The Battle Harbinger dedication, which remember you have to take at level 2 as a Battle Harbinger, makes you trained in either athletics or acrobatics, and they get the Toughness General feat for free. If they already had those skills or that feat, they get to choose another one. There are a lot of feats that help Battle Harbingers out, like Tandem Onslaught lets them sustain a battle or a spell, remember that's the Bless or Bane, when they hit someone for free. There's a feat that gives them scaling armor training in heavy armor, one to get 2 extra lower level spells per day from a list like I talked about. Some good stuff here. One particular feat lets them add Benediction and Malediction, which are new spells, to the list of spells that they can prepare with their battle or class feature. Benediction gives all allies a bonus to AC, Malediction gives enemies a penalty to AC with a save, but remember that save goes off of their class DC, which gets up to legendary. There's even a later feat that helps them sustain 2 spells at once, allowing them to have, say, Bless and Benediction going in the same fight. So, before I get to my final thoughts, I have something to say. I have seen some people online say that this is a terrible waste of space archetype. I don't think like that. If you don't like this opinion, that's fine. It's an opinion, and everybody's going to have one. But I think of it like this. Imagine a spectrum with Fighter on one end and Cloistered Cleric on the other. I'd put War Priest about here, and I'd put Battle Harbinger about here. It's not going to outfight the Fighter, and it won't outcast the Cloistered Cleric or even the War Priest. If it did, it would completely supplant those classes. Instead, I think it has a special little niche here for someone who wants to be okay with weapon combat and have a few spells on the side. Battle Harbingers are better at weapon attacks for a good chunk of their career than War Priests, able to throw out bonuses to allies and penalties to enemies. They eventually get up to better AC than a War Priest, and they have access to a few good utility spells. Of course, this comes with the downside that they have fewer spells per day, and that their free heal or harm spells are replaced with a bunch of spells that give bonuses to hit in AC. Listen, if you think that's a fair trade-off, that's up to you. Personally, I feel like a Battle Harbinger would be an excellent 5th man in a party. They have a few spells for things like emergency healing to get the real healer in the group back up should they fall. In a pinch, they can stand on the front lines and do okay if the main frontline fighter is indisposed or if the party is fighting on 2 fronts. All in all, they are kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, and I think they do well in that role. The class archetype is nothing we haven't seen before, but we haven't seen this particular combination of abilities before, and if that's what you want to play, I say go for it. I would have liked if they had master in all martial weapons, and if they started off with proficiency in heavy armor instead of having to get it with a feat, but I don't think it's a bad archetype. Niche, certainly, but not bad. And if you don't feel that same way, feel free to voice your opinions in the comments below, but please remember to be civil. Moving on, there's another class archetype in the book, the Palatine Detective. So before we get started on the detective, I need to explain how most archetypes that grant spells work. Let's take a spellcasting archetype like, let's say, Witch Dedication. The way most of these dedications work is that for the base dedication, a character gets 2 cantrips from a single spellcasting tradition, usually. Then there's a level 4 feat that gives them a single first rank spell, and that feat gets better over time, eventually capping out at giving characters a first, second, and third rank spell. There's another feat, usually around level 12, that gives more spells, eventually capping out at ranks 4, 5, and 6 spells, along with expert in spellcasting. Then a final feat at level 18 that grants a rank 7 and eventually rank 8 spell and master spellcasting. Finally, there is a breath spell, usually around level 8, that grants 1 additional spell per spell rank except for your highest 2 spell ranks. I know that's confusing, but at level 20, someone with a fully kitted out spellcasting archetype would look like this. Now, Palatine Detective is a spellcasting archetype that throws all of that out the window. To start off, it's an archetype only for investigators who belong to the esoteric order of the Palatine Eye. That's kind of a philosophy that a cleric can actually worship as if it were a god. Oh look, favorite weapon is the sword cane, that's cool. Anyway, the Palatine Detective is a class archetype for an investigator that follows the order. The class archetype only changes one thing at level 1. Your investigator methodology has to be the new Esoterica methodology, which I think you can only get access to if you are a Palatine Detective. The methodology, recall that methodology is the investigator subclass, gives you a single cantrip from the occult spell list and a single cantrip from the divine list. The spellcasting attribute for both those spells is intelligence. The dedication feat, which remember you have to take at level 2, lets you make a silver chain dedicated to your order. It gives you a +1 to save against mental effects, and as a reaction, if you have a hand free, you can brandish the charm to give yourself resistance to all damage against an enemy's damage. This only works if you have recalled knowledge about the subject. There are a few other feats of note. There is a 4th level feat that gives you a rank 1 and then eventually rank 2 and 3 divine or occult spell, and you can take that feat twice, once for occult and once for divine. There is a further level 12 feat that gives you a rank 4, 5, and 6 spell, and again you can take it twice, once for occult and once for divine. Palatine Detective is very strong. This level 8 feat increases the damage of your investigator's strategic strike by a whopping 2d6 damage. That's like the equivalent of 10 investigator levels. However, it only works on supernatural creatures. It basically only works if you successfully recalled knowledge on a creature using religion or occultism. So, really strong in some games like Season of Ghosts, which is full of undead enemies, but if you're fighting a bunch of humans, maybe not so much. One notable thing is that these detectives don't get the feat to increase their spellcasting to Master or get rank 7 or 8 spells from the Master Spellcasting Dedication feats. So yeah, you'll be stuck with a rank 6 spell, which is fine if you're building a Palatine Detective to have utility spells or spells that enhance the party. I really like Palatine Detective. They are very flavorful and it adds some cool spellcasting to the Investigator, which is nice. It is a bit limiting that you have to be a member of the Esoteric Order of the Palatine Eye to play one. Maybe your GM can homebrew an exception if you don't play in Galarian. These make great Monster Hunter characters. They will have less sheer spellcasting power than other spellcaster archetypes, but as long as you know what you're all about, it should be fine. Whew, that was a lot to get through just those 2 class archetypes. There are still several other archetypes to talk about, and then other class options like new Oracle Mysteries and new Witch Patrons. So yeah, we aren't done with the Divine Mysteries book, but I'll have to save that for another time. I feel like this is a good stopping point. Let me know what you think of these class archetypes in the comments below, just please remember to be civil. And as always, make sure you like and subscribe. That tells not only me, but also YouTube that you like this kind of content and would like to see more. And until next time, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!